everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and we're going to talk about 6 short reviews of games here, different games. But hey, good news, the vast majority of these games I like, so let's get started. First, we have Jalape-NO. I really don't like the name of this, but I was surprised when I pulled this out and saw that it was a game by Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer, who are some of the most famous designers in the world of designing great games. This is a trick-taking game, but all the points are negative. I'll show you. In this game, you're going to have different cards that are different suits that go from 1 to 18. You won't be using all those. Instead, you'll look at a little chart in a book. They'll tell you how many players, the card values, and how many colors you're going to use. So you're going to shuffle those and hand them out equally to all the players. As your Delta cards, any ones that you get, which are the Jalape-NOs, you don't want them, are placed face up in front of you, but they also kind of count as part of your hand. On your turn, you can play any card you want. So let's say this person plays a 3. Each person has to play a card from their hand that matches that color. If it was me, I can also play the Jalape-NO. Whoever plays the highest number wins all the cards and will put all of them face down in front of them in a pile, except for any Jalape-NOs they might have taken, and they'll put that in front of them. Now, when you're playing cards, let's say this person plays a 2, and I play a 5, and the next person plays a 7. If the person after that doesn't have any blue, they can play anything they want. So they might be able to play this 10. But again, it's the highest card of the color lead that will win the trick and get all the cards. You can even play a Jalape-NO, and Jalape-NOs can be played multiple times because they want it, but they might be able to play it in the future. You're going to keep doing that until all the cards are gone. At that point, you'll score. Each Jalape-NO card you have is worth -2 points. You'll then pick up your stack of cards, and any cards that match the color of any Jalape-NOs you have are -1 point each. You'll add these scores together, and whoever has the most minus points starts the next round after 5 rounds. Whoever has the fewest negative points wins. Now, I don't love that the points in this game are negative. In fact, halfway through, we're just like, they're points. And then whoever has the fewest points wins. The negative points, I guess, that's the way it is. It just was weird to say, you get -3 and whatever. Anyhow, the art and the card quality is not fantastic. And yet, I really like this game. The whole Jalape-NO, you don't want Jalape-NOs, which is, by the way, an immense mischaracterization to Jalape-NOs, which are amazing. But I digress. It almost should have been called Hot Potato, because that's the way this game works. You're playing these cards, and then it bounces to somebody else, but they're going to try to get rid of it and come back. What you're trying to do with these ones is you're trying to play them, obviously, when someone else plays cards of that color, but you might be forced to give it to them. I might play a high number to force you to give me the 1, but I don't have any blue, and I'm hoping you play a blue, and I'm going to give you that card right back, and then I know you're stuck with it, unless you can find a way to schloff it back onto me. Now, I'm not pretending that Jalape-NO is some masterpiece of trick-taking goodness, but sometimes simplicity rules in this situation, and this is one that I like a lot. I found it to be fun. It's easy. The bouncing around, and also the different number of players I thought worked really well. So I'm giving Jalape-NO an 8 out of 10. Dragon's Nest is math in a box. This is a game of fast logic in which you bundle bags together with the players adjacent to you. So this has some weird rules because it isn't very long. It plays very quickly. Let me show you. This game has a bunch of egg cards. You can see they have a different range of numbers. They can go high. You see a 6 card, but there's also negative cards in here. There are 3 rounds in the game. At the beginning of a round, players are going to be given 4 egg cards, and they are going to pick 2 of them, put 1 in the nest to the left of them, and 1 to the nest to the right of them. This nest is shared with the person next to them. Then you'll pass the egg cards, and then you'll do it again. So we have some egg cards in both nests. Players are then going to look at their dragon cards, and they're going to pick one of their dragon cards and play it in front of them. So maybe this one here says, choose one of your neighbors, exchange an egg from your communal nest for an egg from another neighbor's non-communal one. And then at the end of the game, you're going to choose a nest, and you will score points for the longest straight you have in it. So right now, I don't have a straight here at all, but if I can get 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in it, I can get a whole lot of points here for the longest straight. You'll then put out 4 more eggs. You'll play another dragon card, so maybe I'll play this one here. Switch the positions of your left and right nest, and score 3 points for all even numbers in both of your nests. And then the third round, you're just playing more eggs. So you're going to have a total of 6 eggs in each of your nests, and you'll have 2 scoring cards. You'll use these scoring cards to figure out how many points you have, and whoever has the most points is the winner. I'm not convinced that this game is it's almost too slight really to be a game, because you take these cards, you look at them, you put a card here and there, you take some cards, put them there, and then you play a card and it just goes berserk. I have to say, I was amused by this game. I liked the counting of the numbers, playing a card, looking when everyone else plays. But I think I'm also one of the few people in the world who's this is really going to appeal to, because it's too hefty to be as light as it is, if that makes sense. So I'm amused by it, but the highest I give it is a 6. And the reason I say that is because I can sit there and say, okay, I got a 2, 3, 4 on this side, I got this and that, but I know that you might be able to switch to piles. And that's kind of where the game kind of loses its footing. The idea of counting the cards and playing only 2 dragons, and you can't, after you play your 2 dragons, the final turn when you play the numbers out, you can't do much more. But again, this feels like it's a small piece of a bigger game that I think I would enjoy more. Also, it's terrible quality, but I still thought it was a little interesting. So that's Dragon's Nest. This one's a hard one for me to recommend, because I think a lot of people are going to be annoyed at it, that there's too much mathiness and moving stuff around for how short the game is. And people who like the mathiness and moving stuff around will say, where's the game? When they walk in. So Dragon's Nest. Future Inc., which apparently is the first in a series from DMZ Light. Now, yes, this is a light game. I mean, in the fact that it's a big economic game, that's what it is. It's a little economic game where you're building factories, manipulating goods, buy low, sell high. Well, not really buy low, sell high. Produce and sell high. Let me show you. In this game, players are going to be buying resources, or making and selling resources here that are going to go up in price. They start low price, but they're going to get high. As players are playing the game, they're going to keep track of their money here. You'll start with 20, and you're trying to get more. You'll add these 50s or 100s or 100. It's kind of a really annoying way to keep track of your money. But that's how you keep track of your money. On your turn, you'll have actions. You can buy one of these factories and put it in front of you. And you'll see this one here costs 6, but it also costs some of this resource here. If you don't have that resource, you'll have to pay the cost of that resource, whatever it is there. If you buy a factory that you already have, you'll stick one on top of the other one. You're going to keep track of, you're going to have the highest price. You might want a high price, you might want a low price. That's up to you. And speaking of price, you can also simply discard one of these cards to get some money. And you can make one or more of these go up, or you can even make one go down. And you can also discard a card for the back side of it to add to your price of one of your factories, or subtract one from the price of one of your factories. Now you can see these cards are 1 through 3, so they're going to get higher, and the victory points will get higher. Of course, the cost to build the factory will get higher at the end of the game. At the end of every round, and there's 3 rounds, players can play an event card. You have some event cards that you can play, and these event cards will add to different resources and also offer bonuses for players. If you have certain factories, you'll get extra money. But then each player can sell the resources to get money at the end of a round, starting with whoever has the lowest price and going up to the people at the highest price if there's enough of those resources left. And then you go to the next round and you continue on. At the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins, although these will give you, for example, this will give you 5 points for every one of these symbols that you can see on your factories, which will either be 1 or 2. You add that to your final money value, and whoever has the most money is the winner. The idea of Future Inc. here from DMZ is kind of an interesting one. When I read the rules, I was like, yes, this is a game where it's at. But I'm ending up at a 5 out of 10, and I want to tell you why. I think the quality's fine. The rule book, not a great rule book at all. They're trying to squish everything down into this, fold-out sheet here, and I would have loved to have lots of examples and more fulfilling rules. But The problem with Future Inc. is that it doesn't feel like you're doing anything of substance. You're looking at the cards out there, you're going, well, I'm taking this one. This one helps me. And you can argue back and forth over, I'll take these goods and sell for resources, but it's kind of boring. It's kind of slow. And the problem that the game has is that these older, not good cards will clutter up the line. So after a while, new, better cards come in, then they're just the ones taken. If I don't want it, if it doesn't work for me, I'll still discard that card so you don't get it. And even if that was a fixable thing, the idea of there's a bunch of resources and whoever has the cheapest price sells first and whoever has the highest price sells after them has been done really well in other games. A good example would be Smartphone, which disclaimer, I'm involved with that game to a degree, but I still think it does it in a much better way. This just felt slow and plodding, so I can't really recommend Future Inc. Hey folks, today I'm reviewing Sequitur, which is definitely a tissue box. What is this? A bar of soap? This definitely belongs in your bathroom somewhere. It's weird. This is a word game from Catmint Games. And I'll tell you, before I even go through this, I like this game. I find it to be fun and enjoyable word game. I just think this packaging really weird. But let's get into the game. In this game, each player is going to get a tray. You'll put that tray in front of you, and you're going to be making words over several rounds. You're going to have 5 balls that come in randomly. And then you'll draw 3 more balls one at a time, and you can decide what end to add them on. So when I'm done, I have O, E, N, M, N, V, E, and E, although it could also be the other way around. And so I'm trying to make a word in one of the directions. Now, I can't make any word yet, but I am going to be able to play cards. So this card here, let's see, I can move outside. I can move this N all the way over here, and now I can make the word men, M-E-N. The other letters don't really matter. I could also maybe play this card, move by 1. I can move this E here, and now I have the word even. You also can move an outside ball anywhere in the inside. I can discard 3 balls, refilling them, putting them on the outside, or discard any ball, draw 3, and then put 1 anywhere I want. Now, why am I doing all this? That's these goal cards. At the beginning, I might have a secret goal. This is, I need to make a word that's at least 5 letters long. Well, even isn't going to help with that, so maybe I would have played another card, draw through 3 to hope I would get something else. Well, that's not really going to help in that situation. But also, as players are playing the actions, they're going to each be able to draw from these easy, medium, and hard goals, and they can put these goals public. So this would say the word is reversible. Well, there, Eve would work because that's reversible. Or this one here, 5 or more letters. I already seen that one. Or having 2 consonants in a row. That's an easy goal. There's going to be a certain number of goals out because each player is going to be able to draw them and leave them out or discard them. And each player has a secret goal. Then, starting with the person who has the best word score. By word score, each letter is worth 1 point, but some like this V are worth 3, this M is worth 2, and you can see this X is worth 5. So whoever's the highest word score will say, well, reversible, I have this card, and they can take it. And this card's worth 3 points, and it's really the only way to get points over the course of this game. Then the next highest person picks a card, you keep going till no more cards can be picked. And you're going to play a certain number of rounds, and whoever has the most points here is going to win the game. When I first saw this game being demoed at a convention, I was very intrigued. The little balls had that bingo feel to it. And it really is fun to do that. I know some people might sit there and go, you can't see them right, but you can rotate the balls to see what you want and then just spin it and they rotate the other way. And there's just something about pushing them and pulling them and manipulating them, which is really entertaining. You have 5 cards, and you can use the same, you're going to play 3 of those cards. But you have to come to the idea the object here isn't to make the biggest word. It isn't to make the longest word, although it might be. It's to make a word that matches the objectives, including your secret objective. That's the game. And I just find it to be fun. You just pick through and you'll see dog, D-O-G, and there's letters in between them. That's okay, I got dog. But dog is probably not what I'm looking for. But picking those cards, manipulating things, I liked it. It just felt entertaining. I played this with my wife, and in our first game, I was like, man, I love the mechanisms, and my wife is much better with words than I am, but I whooped her because I figured out the mechanisms. Game 2, she figured out the mechanisms, came back with the word knowledge, and I was whooped around a bit, but I still found it to be entertaining and interesting. There's not a lot of interaction between the players. Keep that in mind. I mean, you'll put out a public objectives that you think you can accomplish, and you'll look around to see if anyone else might be, but you don't know what their word is necessarily. But I still found it to be fun, enjoyable, and quick. So even though, again, I can use this box as a nice doily or something, Sequitur is a really good word game, and I will give this one an 8 out of 10. Comet is a game about rescuing animals. The volcano is exploding, the comet is coming. Well, the comet is coming, that's the whole point of it. And you are a hero, and you are trying to get these animals and drive these dumb dodos and dinosaurs to an island of safety. Well, that's been done before. Has it been done like this? Not quite. Let me show you. So this is a map of the world that's about to be hit by a comet. Each player is going to have this in front of them, and each player is going to have kind of a hero here that's going to be helping manipulate the different animals and get them to safety. Each of them has a special ability that you will be able to tap and use. Now, you have these saviors. These are these little tokens that you have, 1 through 3, and you're going to have a handful of cards. Now, on your turn, you have different actions that you can do. One, you can start rescuing someone. So let's say I want to rescue the Scout of the Jungle. So this shows a few things. It shows that they're going to start at number 11. That's pretty far. They have to go all the way to the top of the board to be rescued. So anyone starting on 2 doesn't have to go as far. But also, this person's going to give me 5 points at the end of the game, and I will be able to use them when I move another savior to skip trees. That's pretty good. So I put them down in front of me here underneath one of these, and I will use that. That's my first one, and I'll put this on number 11 to show that. Now, you can have up to 3 of these going at any particular time. You can also use a card, discard a card on your turn, to simply move on the 2 types of terrain. This shows a volcano and a tree, so I can move 1, 2. Now, that doesn't seem like the tree was very useful, but here's the thing. Let's say there was another piece here. It doesn't matter if it's mine or someone else's. I might, if I was here, for example, I might go all the way through these to get to the tree, because you can leapfrog your way faster to get over here. Once you get there, you get the points, and that special ability is now yours. So players are going to either be playing cards for terrain movement, and this one here lets you add a wild, so I could play these 2 together, or putting out more creatures. Now, you might run out of cards after a while because you don't draw a new card at the end of your turn, so you can rest. When you rest, you'll untap all the cards that you've tilted to use your special abilities. You will draw a new hand of cards, and you'll get one of these gold cards over here. You can take a face-up one or face-down one. These are just slightly better cards that you'll be able to use over the course of the game. This gray deck that you have will be split slightly in half, a little bit less, and when the big chunk of the deck you're using runs out, the other half comes into play, but that's also signaling the end of the game. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points will win. A lot of the different creatures in the deck have points. Some of them give you this one. If you rescue this person, your hand limit is increased by 1. Some give you points based on other, like it's Dodo's just worth 11 points. Doesn't give you any special abilities. And some you need to have groups of animals to get special abilities. Like this one here, whoever has, if you have 3 of these, you'll get 6 points. But if I have 8 of them, I would get 36 points. Anyway, most points is the winner. Comet, by the way, Dawn of Extinction, is a fun, light game that I found to be a lot of fun. It feels in many ways, this game is from Fun Tales, but it feels like a Freedom and Freeze game in some sense, because you're playing these cards, putting them in front of you, and you're trying to pick the location, but then you play other things, and you're moving stuff around and hopping over and trying to be as economical as you can when you move. And then you rescue an animal, now you got a special ability, now you got points. My only complaint about Comet is I wish it was a little longer, actually. It says 45 to 75 minutes on here, and that can be longer with more players, but I'm talking about the number of turns that you get. You almost wish there was more of those turns, because you're not going to rescue as many animals as you want to. That's my only negative about the game. Other than that, I find it to be very enjoyable. Trying to pick the animals, the artwork's good. The idea that you're like these little, rodents and stuff riding on a dino's back, like, go to safety, we're going to make it. That part is fun, and I like that concept. And there's so many different animals, and then the gold animals are better animals. It's using other people to leapfrog over them. There's like that fun interaction in this game. It works with families. This is a pretty solid little game that has not got a ton of buzz, but definitely one that I think that you would like playing. It's just charming to play. And you get to make choices in it. Do I want to start all the way back here? Do I want to start closer to the front? Which one do I want to do? And I think it all comes together in a nice way. That's Comet. I give this a 7.5. Compounded. This is the peer-reviewed edition. I believe Compounded is almost or is 10 years old at this point. And this is a new version of the game that uses the periodic table as a scoring track. And you are collecting elements to make, well, compounds without starting everything on fire. Let me show you. In this game, you're going to keep track of score on the periodic table, which frankly is not the best score track in the world, but it is thematic. You're going to have a bunch of different elements out here in the middle of the boards, different compounds, I'm sorry, not elements. And if you're playing on teams, you'll have even some of these giant ones out there. Each player is going to have their own player board. So here's an example of the purple player. And you're going to keep track of your discover, study, research, and lab. You'll be able to, over the course of the game, move these up. Whenever you complete one of these, it will tell you at the bottom if you're moving up your liquid, solid, or gas, or you can always move up the purple one if you want to. These are going to change the things that you can do over the course of a game. Now, each round is run the same way. Players are going to be drawing elements from a bag, and this chart tells you how many of each there are. The number of elements that you're going to draw is where you are in the discover. So we get 3 at the beginning. So here I draw these 3. You can trade with other players. You can go back and forth. And then you can only keep so many, as it says here in your lab. That's how many that you can keep, how many you're allowed to store. And then you can claim compounds. So each player starts with one of these, and as the game goes by, you can claim more of them. As you move up on the different tracks, you'll get more of these pieces that you can use. But you can claim a compound, and when that compound scores, you're going to be the one to get points for it. And then you'll simply just be able to put these out, and the number that you can place is where your research is. Once the whole thing has been finished, you're going to score it. It's going to give you points that it shows here. So this shows 6 points. It's going to let you move up 1 on the research. There's the gas research track here, or I can move up on the lab instead, which just basically gives you points at the end of the game. And then the card will be discarded. Many cards give rewards. Some rewards will allow various things here. Some will give tools. Whenever you get a tool, you will find the matching tool, whatever it might be, and put it in front of you. Each player starts with a fire extinguisher tool. That tool is important because as elements are replaced, as the compounds here are finished, you're going to be replacing them, and sometimes a fire will come out, and any volatile compound, which all little fires have a fire put on them, if another one comes, well, basically they kind of burn up and explode, and yeah, then you're not going to get any points. But you can use one of these to put fires out. When you use tools, they are essentially face down, but you can recharge them by putting on the main board. You can put your marker there rather than claiming a compound. There's a few more rules, but that's basically how it goes. And when someone gets to a certain number of points, the game is over and they win. Compounded is a game that when I first played it, I liked it because I was like, yes, we have a science game that's also fun, because that combination is fairly rare. Compounded gets a 7 out of 10 from me. It is an entertaining game, and this one, by the way, really nice pieces. All the little different vials and things you have for your pieces are great that they're different. The gems, it's so easy to play and understand. So that's good, but the game itself is also fun. Now, there's some lightness to it. You're drawing gems from a bag. Sometimes you get gems. It just works for you. I do think that the team version is probably a little better than the regular version, but I think both work well. But the idea of finishing stuff up, you can finish somebody else's compound, and you don't get any points from it, but if they get a reward from it, like a new tool, you get that tool too. And that little bit of kind of incentive to cooperate is something that I like a lot. There's a little bit of back and forth interaction, but there's not as much trading as you might think. But there definitely is sometimes where you'll go, oh, there's a fire starting? I love to put it out. but I just don't want to. So there's a bit of that, which is a little odd. If my fellow scientist lab's on fire, I'll probably help him out. But the tools and everything, this is not a very complex game. It is a smidge too long. It drags out a little longer, but I mean, you can fix it just by saying, I think it goes to 80 points by saying 70 points instead or something. But I found it to be nice. And again, it is a good science game. So definitely check out Compounded, the peer review edition. And that's it, folks. Compounded, good. Comet, good. Sequitur, good. Future Inc., not so good. Dragon's Nest, weird. And Jalape-NO, very good. There's a lot of good games here. Check them out. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.